Because we know people who should be successful, but what? They're not successful. Why?
So that's his why buy. But what is he afraid of?
My personal style of education, but still entertain them, bring them along with stories, right?
Who do we want to learn from? People who are what? Killing it. If you're a real man, what do you do? I'm not the only one.
You can't wait to tell your spouse. You can't wait to tell your colleague. You can't wait to go to work and tell somebody. And you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. So what happened?
If you haven't seen my TV show, you should get cable. That's what you need to do.
From doing a TV show to doing corporate events, I've been so lucky to connect with many passionate entrepreneurs worldwide.
What I've learned from a business perspective.
Because this is the formula for success, no matter who you talk to. Attitude will drive your behavior. Would you agree? And your behavior will drive your consequences every single time.
All right, we got the concept. Okay, we got the concept. We got the equipment, right? We got the brand. You guys got that. And then again, we got the content that we create. That's the easy part. This is the big one, the big C, which is the commitment.
What should you do? That's right. All right. 10Xers, do not fail me. True test. Here it comes.
There's skill, and then there's will. Listen to what I'm saying. There is skill, and then there is will. And here's the interesting thing. I know a lot of people who have a lot of skill, but have no what? Will, right? You ever look at somebody who's successful, and you say, why them? Why not you? Yes, okay, that's me too.
You have more control, but your costs are also going to be what? Higher.
Now, here's where some of the magic is starting to kick in.
You can talk to any CEO in the B2B business, any CEO. You walk into his office and they only care about three things. People too. Yeah, he with the suit, put it up. There you go. I hope you can see this. I'll try to draw big. Let's pretend for a moment that I had 7 territories. You remember I wrote that out? Yes or no? Boom. Territory 2, territory 3, all the way to territory number what? 7. So now I've segmented my market.
So content is going to start being created by machines. And I'm telling you right now that those people, you guys, the content creators that connect with people are the ones that are going to win. Some people think, well, it won't work for my industry. Really? It'll work for any industry. Trust me. The majority of the time when we're looking to fix something, repair something, or learn something, where do we go? YouTube. We don't even want to read anymore. We go to YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
When you're doing your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. It's like the law of attraction kicks in. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're in line with the universe. Everything works. And when you do your thing, everybody gets an automatic MBA, which stands for what? Mega Bank Account Money. Are you with me? So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Beautiful.
All right, put it all together for Victor Antonio. Here we go.
All right, there we go. I'm not here to mess around. You ready to learn? Yes or no?
That's how it works in today's market. Whether it's B2B or B2C, you see the similar pattern. How do you just, in other words, say you got to start doing these things, pushing them, but also encouraging them. Oh, look at this. This is where it gets, dude, this is like so interactive with audiences, Matt. Can you imagine this with your customers? Check this out. Now, what does all this have to do with selling? It has everything to do with selling. Welcome to another episode of Sales After Dark.
I don't know about you, but that intro just continues to hype me up. I don't know. Big shout out to Chris Stone. I'm going to do this just for Chris. I would only do this for Chris Stone. Probably wouldn't do this for a lot of people. Chris, hold on. I'm going to do something for you, man. Just bear with me. I'm going to do this just for my man, Chris Stone, because I love his intro. I love his work. And I just need to switch cameras here. And let's see if I can drop that right there. Look at that. I'm putting it in front of mine like that. Cast Ahead Production, man. That's the guy, Chris Stone. Check him out on the chat. That's the guy that does my intros. He's done a lot of great video stuff for me. By the way, I promote Chris because I believe in him. And his work is top shelf. Anyway, Chris, thank you very much, man. I know what time it is, man. So I'm reading the comments here. So Chris is in. My man, Antonio Prescott. Dude, that name just sounds elegant, man. Antonio Prescott. It's Victor Antonio time. Sales After Dark. That's what it is, Antonio. So thank you for being here, man. Uncle John in the house. In the past, you contribute to the sales world. The idea of love what your product does for your customer. I still love that phrase, man. It doesn't matter if you love what you sell, as long as you love what it does for your customers. And now, you coined the word intra-prospecting. That is mine. That's my word. By the way, I'll be doing some videos on intra-prospecting, which is a phrase I came up with. How do you prospect within an existing company? This is more like a B2B side where you're already doing business. In other words, how do you take the prospecting format and how do you prospect within, for ergo, the intra part, right? Within the actual company. So I'm going to put some cool stuff. We got some great material coming. Like I said, I know last year, the last 6-7 months, I took off. And the new content I got coming is going to be so different. I think so more encompassing that I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's going to be sales, but I think it's going to be bigger than that. I don't want to give you too much, but it's going to be really great content. So hang out, Matt, because I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be your normal content. Antonio, again, I am Junior Sales Antonio. My man, watching the boss of sales. You're too cool, man. You're too cool, man. Thank you very much. Melwin, what it is, King Vic. Feels great to be back on your stream, ready to be stunned, man. Thank you for being back. I know. I took some time off last year. And then, I wish I could, I'm going to give applause on this one. Here she comes. My girl, Mia Knox, West Coast in the house. Thank you for being here, Mia. You know I appreciate you. You do know I do. OV, looking super VA. OV, up-and-coming speakers. Got a new documentary coming out. I'm super excited for you, by the way, man. I am super excited. CF, girlfriends in the house. Hey, Victor. Atlanta in the building. How are you loving this weather? It was a little chilly, but a little better today. So that's why I had the little sweater on. So anyway, man, I love Atlanta, though, man. Anthony Reese says, hello, everyone. Excited to be here. Thank you for being here, Anthony. Appreciate you being here. Chris Stone, man, much love, man. I love your work, man. Changing name to Shy Prescott. I love it. I know, man. Get that Prescott. That just sounds like it's like you want to wear. What do you call this? Oh my God! Tell me what you call this thing you put around your neck. It makes you look all elegant. An ascot. I feel ascot for Prescott. That's what it is, man. Shy Prescott in the house, man. You're welcome anytime, Victor, man. Thank you. Always on the grow. That intro lights me up, man. Thank you, Manny. I appreciate you, man. Respect from India. Melwin, thank you for being up this early with me, man, because I know it's super early out there, man. Uncle John, and then I'll move on. Looking forward to it. My favorite quote from your Selling Doesn't Give You Money, Closing Does. Victor Antonio on the Grant Cardone 10X. By the way, that was a great event. Working with Grant was great. I'm always asked that question. How was it working with Grant? It was great working. We actually did the 10X, and then Grant and I did a joint 3-day conference, sales conference after that. His whole team, and my big shout out to Jared Glant over there, man. Those guys are really cool, man. Giovanni, thank you for letting me know it was Ascot. All right, let's jump into some content here. Let's stop messing around. So today I want to talk about downselling, and I'm also going to talk about another strategy called below, at, and above pricing. Now, again, I'm following the format of my book. So let me highlight the book. So here's where we're at. So we last week we did decision fatigue. Again, great subject, decision fatigue. Today we're going to do downsell to upsell. That's one. And then I'm also cover below, at, and above pricing. And again, if you haven't got the book, why not? Look how cheap it is. Look, I mean, just look how cheap it is. I made it cheap for everybody. I should say cheap. I should say inexpensive. That's the right wording.
I love the strategies in here. Like I said, there's a lot of tactical stuff that you're going to be able to use, implement, and so forth and so on. But anyway, let's jump into it. And again, I'm going to begin to talk with what we're going to call the downsell to upsell. Downsell to upsell. Don't sell people more than what they need, and they'll buy more often from you. Read that one again. Don't sell them more than what they need. Counterintuitive, right? And they'll buy more often from you. Now, the best example I have of this is my beautiful car, my Volvo. That's right. That's my Volvo, right? It's a 2000 Volvo. Yes, I still have it. It's 22 years old. And so I remember when we first moved to Atlanta, I took my Volvo in, right? And I went to the dealership, right? And you know how you get something in the mail that says, hey, come on in, we'll change your oil at their dealership for, let's say, $60. I'm making up a number. I don't remember what the number was. $60, right? So we took the car in to the dealership, right? And so we took the car in, and I'm going to talk about the dealer experience now. So we took the car in to the dealer. And the way it works is, you call, you schedule it, you go there, right? So sure enough, I get to the dealer. I'm like, I got a 10:30 appointment, a.m. in the morning. Perfect. Victor, let me have the keys. Why don't you go sit in the waiting room? Perfect. All is good so far, right? And then about 20 minutes later, if that, 20 minutes later, right? They call my name, right? Like I'm in like this waiting room, almost like a doctor's office, right? And they call me, like Victor Antonio, and I'm like, here, right? I feel like a kid doing that, here. And then the guy just wants to talk to me. Now I'm thinking, we're done. 20 minutes, I'm like, this is fantastic. We're done, right? And he says, hey, by the way, we're not done with your car yet. To which I'm going, what? Okay, so, and he goes, but we did have your car up on the lift. And we decided to take a look at a couple of things. To which I'm thinking, why are you looking at the other part of the car? I didn't ask you to. I said, we noticed that your belts are worn, right? And he talks about how the belts are worn in the car. And he talked about, cleaning all the fluids in the thing. And he mentioned a couple of other things. At this point, my brain's not registering because I'm going, I just want an oil change. That's all I want. There's nothing wrong with the car. And I said, well, how much is all these little things going to cost? And he's like, it'll be about $545. To which I said, what? Like, now you got to think of the price jump here. You went from a $60 nut to almost $600. Have you ever had this experience? Hit me with the why. As yes, if you had this experience, you go in there for a simple oil change. They put it on the lift. They look at it, right? And because they have your best interest in mind, wink, wink, right? And all of a sudden, I'm hit with a $600 bill. I'm like, I said, no, just do the oil. And they put all the fear factor in it, in their pitch, by the way. Well, every car at about 30,000 miles, you really need to do this. And I'm like, and I remember I asked him about the belt. I said, well, is the belt worn? Like, is it like visibly worn? Like the fan belt, is it worn? And he says, no, you should just change it every 30,000 miles. To which I asked the question again, but is it worn? And he couldn't answer the question. To me, he said he didn't really look at it. He just basically put me through the system. But anyway, I remember leaving there, and this experience kept happening to me over and over again a few more times. And I got to the point where I said, I'm not going back to the dealership anymore. I'm just not. Because every time I go there, I feel like they're just trying to upsell me on everything. So I asked around, and I found this place. It's a small little Volvo/foreign car repair shop, right? And I met a guy, I called, and I talked to a guy named James there. And so I brought the car in, right? So there was time to get my oil changed again. And I remember I brought the car in, dropped it off, and he said, just go wait in the waiting room. I'm going, okay. And then he calls me. Like this time about maybe 30, 35 minutes later, he calls me, and I'm like, I better not get the pitch. I better not get the pitch. I better not get the pitch. And he says, you're done. I said, payment, form of payment. I'm like he's asking for form of payment. Like we're really done, right? And I'm kind of like stunned, like we're really done. I said, okay, we're done. He says, yeah. I said, I saw a couple of other things, nothing that I would be concerned about. Now, again, nothing to be concerned about, he says. And that he left it at that. I looked at your belts. I looked at a couple of things. Nothing right now that I'd be concerned about. And then he said something like this. He says, when you bring it back in about 3 months, right, for the oil change again, we might want to look at the air filter for your air conditioning system, something like that. And I go, okay, no pressure at all, right? And I'm just stunned by this because I'm like, this guy's not upselling me at all. And then it happened again. When I brought it in, he would only recommend, in fact, he got to the point where he would only recommend certain things and he would tell me, you don't need to do this. And when there was something I needed to do, he would say, That you need to do like today. We're going to do that today. In fact, he would often tell me, we're going to do it. I'll tell you how much it's going to cost, but we're going to do it. You need to do that. And I got to the point where I trusted this guy so much because he wasn't always trying to sell me. Do you know what I'm talking about? People always feel like people are always trying to sell you and upsell you something. And I started calculating because you know what happens, right? When you find something like this, you start telling your friends, right? And the amount of business I've sent his way is incredible. So for example, I estimated that the customer lifetime value of what I've given this guy, literally over 16 years, probably now 17, right? Easy $12,000, maybe $13,000. I think it's a little more, I'm being conservative, right? But also the number of referrals I've sent his way. So in other words, the point here is when I mean downsell to upsell, it means you sell people what they want, not more than what they want. Now, in the past, I've talked about the trust formula. Let me write the trust formula out really big here because I really want you guys to kind of get this, right? The trust formula, and I'll write up here. Here's how you build trust. Trust is about three things. First is point of view. Take the client's point of view, put yourself in their position, which James did. He understands my situation, and he probably understands that a lot of buyers don't want to spend a lot of money, right? Especially when they come in for an oil change. He also was a subject matter expert. Remember, they focused on Volvos and foreign cars, so he knew my car. But here was the important piece. The last part is I call the BIM, B-I-M-M. In other words, he had my best interest in mind. Now that's powerful, man. When you can demonstrate to a client that you have their best interest in mind, that's when they know that you're on their side of the table. Do you know what I mean by that? You're on their side of the table. You're not across trying to negotiate something with them. You're on their side of the table. So he took my point of view. He understands people. He understands consumers. You know, nobody wants to be shocked from 60 to 600 like the other dealership did. So he understood that. Subject matter expert. He could tell me everything about a Volvo. It was pretty incredible, actually, when you listen to him. But the last part is he kept my best interest in mind. And so, you know, today when you hear sales trainers talk about, you know, selling and upselling, it's almost like, you know, ABC, always be closing, always be moving the customer up the value chain, just trying to sell them more. But in reality, sometimes you should just downsell to upsell, because what he did by not upselling me right away is basically he built trust. And that trust gave him a lifetime value's worth of clients plus some referrals. So the big three takeaways from that are this. Real simple. Big three takeaways. Let me get rid of these notes. Big three takeaways are as follows. One, when you're overselling, again, that is a short-term strategy. When you oversell somebody on something, let's go back to my original example. Let's go back to the original example of $60 to $600, right? 60, oil change, the guy says it's going to be $545. Call it $600. How do you think I would have felt had I left there spending $600? Like somebody just took advantage of me, right? And I would have buyer's regret / remorse, right? And so again, you can upsell somebody. I've had people say, well, Victor, when you got them there, you got to sell them. I get that mindset. I'm not about that mindset, right? Because I'm thinking long-term. I'm thinking long-term customer lifetime value. I want the customer to know that, one, I have their best interests in mind. That's the big one. I understand them. We know what we do, right? Subject matter expert, but I want them to know I have their best interests in mind, because I don't want to sell them once. I want to sell them what? Repeatedly over their lifetime. Number two, build trust by fixing the problem. That's a default right there. And number three, and I think this is interesting, Matt, you should care more about the outcome than the client. Let me highlight this one because this is big. James sometimes would demonstrate to me that he loved my car more than I did, right? Like he would kind of scold me sometimes. Like the one time we did the air conditioning thing, the filter, right? He goes, well, I looked at the filter. It's a little bad there, Victor. I said, you need to show the car a little TLC. His words verbatim. You need to show this car some TLC. And I was like, and he would really care more about my car than me. I have a dentist, Dr. O'Donnell. I swear to you, that guy cares more about my teeth than I do. And that's why we've been going to him for the last 10, 15 years. I forget what it is. But it's because when you realize that somebody cares more about your product than you do, or at least demonstrates that they care at least as much, if not more, why wouldn't you want to keep buying from this person? So imagine having that attitude when you're talking to your client. Imagine having that perspective. How would it change your sales approach? When you're looking at the customer, says, no, Mr. Customer, you don't understand. I'm trying to help you here because you're not seeing certain things. Essentially what James and Dr. O'Donnell told me, you're not seeing certain things. So why not take that same approach? When you think about the book, The Challenger Sale, part of that was in there. The whole challenger approach is really about challenging and provoking, right? And when you really believe that the customer should be doing something and you can prove that they should be doing it, then why not take that position? And that's what I love about James and Dr. O'Donnell, right? They both would care more about my product, my car, my teeth than me. And when they showed that same level of concern, if not more, immediate trust was built. And also keep in mind, they weren't trying to sell me more. They were just trying to demonstrate, here's what you need to do to take care of your car or your teeth. So again, think about downselling, not selling as much, building that trust, and then upselling over the lifetime value of a customer. That's strategy number one for tonight. Then let's move to below, at, above. I was so excited about this. I got the examples in the book, some good stuff in the book. And again, if you haven't seen the book, let me remind you, there it is. Mastering the Upsell. Go get it. I would actually get the physical copy. I like the paperback version because you can see all these cool things. What we're going to do is, my daughter Camille, who designed the cover, what we're going to do is actually tell you what all these little graphics mean as they relate to the content in the book. So we'll be doing that, and again, get the book. The paperback's much better. Now, back to this. Below, at, above. Okay, remember when we talked about in the past combining options, right? If you offer 3 options, people tend to choose the one in the middle. Keep that in mind. If you were with me also, we also talked about decoy pricing. Now again, these 2 strategies, combine options, decoy pricing. Now I'm going to layer one on top of that. It's called downselling. And again, this is a powerful strategy. And I'm going to shift your paradigm on pricing because again, our job is not to pressure people into buying. It's to present pricing in such a way that they arrive at a conclusion that you want them to arrive at. In other words, you present the price and let them make a buying decision. Hand over control to the customer. But how I present the price guides the decision-making process. Let me give you an example because I'm talking at high levels here. Let's say that we have a couple, okay? It's a senior couple. It's time for that vacation, right? I don't know, they're 65. I'm making up a number up, right? 65, and they have a budget of $40,000, right? They want airfare, hotel included, and what they want to do is go on a 2-week excursion to, I don't know, the Mediterranean. Pick a place, right? Now, couple goes in and they decide to hire a travel agent, right? Because they're really trying to maximize all the activities, want to have everything set up when they get there. They don't want to have to think about it, right? So they get a travel agent. They tell the travel agent, I said, look, this is our trip. We're finally taking it. But our budget is $40,000. $40,000. My question to you is, how do you bid something like this? How do you propose it? How do you give them the information? Well, let's say that this is what they did. First of all, not surprising, the travel agent found a deluxe package of $45,000, but notice it's business airfare and a 5-star hotel. Whoo, top shelf, man. Top shelf, baby, right? And there's nothing wrong with offering the customer that. But then this travel agent did something very clever. Actually hit the number, $40,000. Now notice, it's standard airfare, 5-star hotel, right? Now, if you're looking at these 2 options, which one are you leaning? What question are you asking yourself? What question are you asking yourself? Well, if you're like most people, and this is a trip of a lifetime, you're looking at that going, okay, they hit the price of $40,000, which you appreciate. So you do appreciate the fact that somebody gave you a $40,000, you hit the budget line, and it's a master room, right? But the only thing, it's standard airfare, which means it could be like coach or something, maybe just, I don't know, Comfort Plus or something like that, but it's not business class or first class, right? Then you look at the price differential, and you realize it's a $5,000 price differential. I don't know about you, but I'd have to think about that because I'm thinking 2 people, right? 65, 2 people have been waiting to take the vacation. The way I would divide it is $2,500 a pop, right? $2,500 a piece. I don't know about you. I think I'd pull the trigger on the extra. But notice what the travel agent did.
First of all, they gave them the price they asked for, within their budget, rather. So in other words, the budget was $40,000. The travel agent came in and gave them the $40,000, what they wanted for $40,000. It had everything they wanted. The travel agent was smart enough to say, but why not show them the higher priced item, which is $45,000. But this travel agent was not your ordinary travel agent. No, 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 no. This travel agent did something different. Yeah, put one below price as well, right? Put one below their budget at $33,000. Standard airfare, only a 3-star hotel, and a standard bedroom, standard room. Now, immediately, you walk in, your anchor price is $40,000. Your anchor price is $40,000. This agent just basically said, here's your $40,000, but more importantly, I got one that's even what? Better. Now, go back to my trust formula. 1, take my point of view. She took my point of view, right? The travel agent took my point of view, understood what we were trying to get, the trip, so forth and so on. 2, subject matter expert. Knows everything about the Mediterranean, laid out a great schedule for us. We're looking at the schedule going, man, that is a great schedule for the next 2 weeks. And then the third part was best interest in mind. In other words, she's looking out for our pocketbook by presenting us with a lower option. I don't know about you, but that builds immediate trust that the person is not trying to put their hand in my pocket to make more money so she can earn a higher commission. If I see something like this, immediately I'm like, wow, I did not expect her to give me the, I might have expected this, right? First of all, and I kind of expected that she might hit the budget, but the fact that they came in with something lower lets me know they're not trying to sell me to make more money. They're trying to sell me to give me the options to make a buying decision. Now, what's fascinating about this is that we could call this last one here, the bottom one, it's a combination of a pattern interrupt, because you're like, what? Right? That's the pattern interrupt. What? I didn't expect that. Immediately, you got their attention, right? Surprise equals attention, right? So immediately, that's a pattern interrupt. But it's also a decoy. And if you don't know what a decoy is, go back to our previous video, or in the book, go back to that chapter and read decoys. Because in other words, this third option was put in there, obviously, to demonstrate that they want to give them the option. But what's going to happen is that these folks have already budgeted $40,000. So they're really just going to stay within these two. All right? They're going to compare these two because these two have one thing in common, what? And that is a 5-star hotel. And nobody wants to take anything less than a 5-star going to country or a country you don't know, what to expect. So all of a sudden now they're going to look at these two. Trust was built with this option. They'll look at these two and then they'll try to rationalize and justify maybe the additional $5,000. If they're what? If they're tall people like me, 6'2", I would pay the extra $5,000 for 2 people. But if they're short people, maybe they don't. I don't know. Who knows? But bottom line is, this strategy is, I call it, again, it's below, at, above. You know what their number is, 40,000. Give them something below that, and then give them something above that, and then create this option for them, and it lets them decide. And I love it. It's really powerful to kind of use this strategy. So anyway, hold on a second. I just want to zip over here real quick, put that down. And hopefully I still have you on the live stream. For some reason, something weird's going on my side here. So I think we're good. All right. By the way, give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me. My program is doing something weird. Now, hopefully you're still there. Let me go ahead and erase this. So let me wrap this up by saying the following. 1, so let's go with the takeaways. Let's go with the big takeaways. First takeaway is, right here is, in this case, clients today are more suspicious. So what we want to do is essentially give them the option to let them decide. Let's not do it for them. Let them decide. And by offering the at or below pricing, you alleviate some of that suspicion. Number 2, at pricing makes it clear that you're putting their ability to save money in front of your need to make money. Okay? And I love that line. Read that line again. It makes clear that you're putting their ability to save money over your ability to make more money. And last but not least is use the below, at, above to really build that trust. And again, here is the book. If you haven't got it, you should get it. Again, Mastering the Upsell. This is one of the chapters in there. go through the content. And again, I'm really happy with the book, and I will take questions right now. Any question? I know I missed a lot. So hold on, let me see. Let me go back. I know I missed a lot of comments scrolling. Let me go back. Oh my God, there's a lot of comments here. All right, so let me just start out here. Good morning, Vic. Good morning. Decision fatigue was our last one. Yes, it was, Camless. Thank you for being here, by the way. Hey, familia, tuning in from Ohio, Alexandria Rosa. Registered nurse, thank you for being here, Alexandria. Let me see. I was fired by Cummings Allison in Illinois for not wanting to forge preventive maintenance tickets. What do you think? Good riddance, right, to them. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's people who do that stuff is just go, you know. Once they make you do things, trust me, I've had these issues in the past where I've had to leave a company because I'm like, I'm not doing that. I like to sleep at night. I don't like to screw people. I don't like to mess with people. So good for you. My man, Doug Lehman, breaking it down in layman's terms, man. Hope you're doing well, Doug. I know we're missing each other on phone calls, man. So you guys can still hear me. Ansley Pierre, you're here, man. Thank you for being here. Woe is right, I hope. Let me see. I went in for an oil change with a coupon. They came out saying I needed a catalytic converter. What? I tried to scare me when I chose to leave. Then I learned I didn't need one. That's exactly what I'm talking about, CF. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. This does work, man. Let me see. What else? Don't know what that is, but thank you for being here. Let me see. Anthony, quality over quantity. Quality stays with your quantity, goes elsewhere every single time, right? Quality of service and caring turns the customer into a customer for life, man. It's that simple. And again, it's one of those things we know, but we need to practice it. Doug says, I got my book last Friday, Mastering the Upsell. Thank you, Doug, man. I appreciate you, man. My man, okay, it's a long one. Okay. Oh my God, Victor. I tell my customers exactly the same thing when it comes to maintaining paint protection that comes with a lifetime warranty. If you look after your car like your teeth, it will last. I love it, man. I love it, man. I like to know how I can get the deluxe and business airfare for $40,000. Yeah, me too. Let me see. Well, not better, it's less. Mia says, okay, you guys can hear me. Any questions? Everybody says loud and clear. Thank you, man. Like I said, the thing was doing something weird. Inkle John, what do you got? Thanks always, man. Always love your ideas. In your previous video, you said you prefer Volvos because you don't like your clients to think that their money is going for the maintenance on a fancy car. Did I get that right? Dude, this guy. Dude, what do you do? Do you stalk me, man? Do you like stalk every video I have, Inkle John? Man, I love you. The reason I got the Volvo, there is a story, by the way. So there is a real story. You got a great memory. So the reason I got that Volvo was, I learned a long time ago from my mentors. It says, when you're taking a client out to lunch, for example, or dinner, whatever it is, and you're driving, and they're getting in you're in your car, and you're driving, let's say, a Mercedes, 550 or something, or a BMW, 700 series, Audi 800, whatever it may be, an A8, I think it is. He says, what they're thinking in their mind is like, now, why are you making so much money? And there's this little bit of envy thing that I've always tried to avoid. And so Volvo was the car that I could have got a Mercedes, I could have got a BMW, could have got a Porsche, got a crazy cars. But I said to myself, let me get something that's simple and classy, and I went with the Volvo because it's a sensible car, right? And so I've had people in the past ask me, why do you have a Volvo? Can't you afford something more? I could, I just don't want to spend money on a depreciating asset. By the way, that's the other thing. For those of you who've seen my show, Life or Debt, it's now on the Paramount channel, Life or Debt. You know that I help families with their finances, right? And one of the things I always say is be sensible and don't invest a lot of money in a car, which is a depreciating asset. But man, Inkle John, I can't believe you remembered that. Amazing. Hey, Victor, good stuff. Would you ever upsell on selling the first product to the customer for the first time or wait till the second or third sale? If you can sell, so this is a great question, Pablo, because I am not saying don't upsell. It's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I should almost say don't shock upsell, like $60, $600, what the hell, right? Don't do that. But let's say you're buying a computer, right? It's a good way of looking at it. So let's say you go to the Apple Store. Apple Store is good at upselling. Let's just say you go, let's go to something like more innocuous, like any type of electronic store that you're buying a laptop, right? And you tell them, right? Hey, look, I do a lot of video production. I need a portable laptop. I need good memory, so forth and so on. And you're concerned about memory and screen size. That's your thing, memory and screen size, right? And then even processing power, right? So those will be the three things you're concerned about. And so then you make a buying decision. You say, okay, I want to go with this one, right? And then now that you've selected that one right there, right? You selected that computer right there. Got the screen size you wanted, got the memory you wanted, and again, you got the processing power that you wanted. Now, I can come in right now and say, first of all, I close you on the deal right there. Is that the one you want? Boom. Let me make sure we have it in stock. We have it in stock. And then here's where you can add a little upsell. But again, the upsell should have happened during the conversation, and I'll explain it just a bit. So then I would say, by the way, you mentioned you were doing a lot of video production, right? You were doing a lot of video production, and you also, you're using a lot of new programs, whatever, Final Cut Pro, this and that. He says, I think you have enough memory, but may I recommend that you upgrade to the memory, or we have a cloud service package, because on a typical film, whenever, if you edit a 60-minute video, if you do it so many of these, you're going to run out of, storage. And it's a way of saying you can buy an external hard drive, and we have those as well, or we can now order your computer, maybe special order, it takes 2 days, and it can have the additional memory integrated. Which would you prefer? If you prefer any at all. And let them guide you. But what you're doing is presenting, right? Now, let me back up a little bit, Pablo. The way to really do it the right way, that's closing, that's called the second close. The first close, we agreed on the computer. Then you try to upsell them on another close. Nothing wrong with that, right? The way you should have done it, though, so you wouldn't have to upsell, is that during the conversation about the computer, you tell me what you do, you tell me all these wonderful things, and then I said, and I would ask you, Pablo, what's your expectation? What are you looking for? I'm looking for this memory, this screen size, this processing power. And then I could say, well, based on what you're telling me, processing power, this and that, he says, I'm going to recommend a higher order machine that has at least this much memory and this much processing power. Here's why. Something to consider. Here's why. So again, if I'm doing a great discovery process, right, as I'm talking to the person and learning about why they need a computer, if I ask the right questions, then I can begin to guide them away from what they think they want to what I think they should have, because I understand what they're trying to do. That to me is, this almost like avoids upselling, but it is a form of upselling, because what you're doing is you're changing the customer's preference as you do that. So that's one way I would do it. But there's nothing wrong with upselling there and then. But again, keep in mind that if I just bought a $1,000 machine and you try to sell me $3,000, I'm not going to buy. If you sell me a $1,000 machine and you got a $50, $100 add-on, I might buy it, right? The differential. In psychology, it's called a just noticeable difference, a JND, a just noticeable difference. Anything beyond 5% of what I bought originally, more than 5%, my alarm goes off. And maybe a lot of people pull back. So let me know if I answered your question. I tried to kind of give you a bigger question or something, or a bigger answer on that. I'm from Myanmar. I wish you might not heard about my country. I have heard of your country. I just can't pronounce it the right way. Toon? Is that, by the way, did I pronounce your name the right way? Let me know. Jim Duffy. Santa told them to go to the Gimbals Bill Trust. Man, that's a movie reference right there. I get it. TJ says, I'm late. No worries, man. There was a blackout in the city. It's okay. I'm here for the closing. Laughing out loud. It's all about the closing, man, right? Waiting for my order of the book. Way to go, man. Kevin Durkin. How's it going, my friend? See you at the Outbound this year. Outboundconference.com. By the way, I think I mentioned this. Outbound. It's Outbound. Excuse my back. Conference.com. And again, use the Victor100 to get $100 off, the coupon code. It's going to be in September. You can't even see the Victor100. But it's going to be in Victor100. That's the coupon code. It's going to be in September. I still don't know what the lineup is. I know I'll be there. Jeb Blunt will be there. Anthony Norino will be there. Mark Hunter will be there. And I know right now it's all hush-hush who the speakers are going to be, but it's going to be a great event. I know kind of what they're planning. So see you at Outbound, Kevin. It's going to be good, man. Ansley Pierre, if you missed the opportunity on checkout, how would you phrase it on a follow-up? If you missed the opportunity on the checkout, man, that's a tough one, Ansley. I got to almost tap out on that one, because it's like once somebody's made a decision and you're not catching them in the flow of that decision, it gets very difficult to go, wait. Okay, before you leave or before you decide, can we go back and talk? It's almost hard to do that. So better preparation would be the right answer. Just know what you want to upsell. I was looking at, I'm going to see if I can pull this up. I'm going to see if I can pull something up here. I didn't plan on this, but I'm going to show you something cool, okay? I'm going to show you something cool. Just wait. This will be worth it. By the way, Ansley, this kind of goes to a little bit on the upselling piece, but I'm working on a bunch of other stuff. Well, let me see. You guys can't look. Don't look at this. This is stuff I have that's you can't be looking at right now. This is some of my new content. That's not it. Hold on. I might have it here. Bear with me. Might be here. This is also new stuff. Close your eyes while I do this. Oh, I don't have it. I thought I had it handy. I don't have it handy. I wanted to show you an upsell map I just created, but I don't have it available. It's in one of my presentations. But anyway, later on in one of my series coming up, I'm going to do this upsell mapping that'll allow you to not get lost, Ansley. In other words, if you know what you need to upsell, then during the conversation, you can prepare them or at least socialize the idea on the upsell. And by the way, I like the phrase socialize the idea, because socialize the idea essentially means you get them used to it. So if I'm having a 40-minute conversation, I'm going to start socializing certain things. I'm going to start mentioning certain things, right? So you can get used to the idea. So when I do get to the close, it'll be that much easier of a conversation. Hope that makes sense. How would you implement these tactics with email marketing? I think, the option, the 3-part option, if I had a discussion with you, I'm assuming I had a discussion already about this, because if I'm trying to sell you something, let's say you got to follow up with a proposal, I could use a 3-part option. If you and I talked about via email or phone, and I got to follow up with an email, then I could use a 3-part option. So CF, I would ask you, CF, tell me what your budget is, and I'll try to really stay close to that budget, right? And so all of a sudden, staying close to that budget, I can then follow up with an email and offer you the 3 options. I don't know if that's the question you're asking me, but that's the only way I can see how you would use this downsell. First of all, remember, in order for the downsell to work, there has to be a price anchor set. The price anchor has to be set. Here's what I mean. In the case of the car, the price anchor I had in my head was $60. They came in at $600, which my brain, my amygdala goes, no way, I'm not paying that, right? In the case of the travel agent, the anchor was set. They told us $40,000. So the anchor was set. So my job is to go a little bit above the anchor, a little bit below the anchor. So there has to be an anchor somewhere for you to actually pivot on pricing. Hopefully that helps. You think clients will look down on me if I drive a Tesla? I don't think so. And by the way, so let me be clear about that. It's funny, that comment. This is just my personal opinion. I have no proof that this is true. Okay, so I don't know if people really think this way. This was just me, because I've gotten in people's cars when I was the buyer, and I'm like, it's a $130,000 car, and it's a junior sales guy, and I'm like, dude, you must be making a lot of money, which means you're probably charging me a lot of money, which means I'm going to ask for a discount the next time. So I wanted to avoid those perceptions. So I have no proof that my thinking is correct. So for all I know, you can drive a Tesla, they'll be more impressed. So I have no proof. I am not making a statement or a declaration of what is true, what is not. I am only saying how I felt when I actually saw somebody with a very expensive car and I knew I was buying from them. I'm going, well, how big are your margins that you can afford these things, right? And so I have, again, this is my personal opinion. I don't, put it this way, I bought a Volvo to remove that if it was there. If there was any type of envy or whatever it may be, I just wanted to remove that. But I don't know if that's the right move or the wrong move. So that's as far as I want to go, man. Okay, so let me know if I answered your question, man. With the pandemic, how do you create urgency with program business? As right now, the majority of people are working from home. What's a great way to get companies to create urgency? I don't understand what you mean by with program business. How do you create urgency with a programming business like software development, like a SaaS product? Can you help me on that, Kevin? And I'll come back. Just hit me again. Just clarify that one.
Alexander from the DR, man. Thank you for being here, man. Appreciate you. Uncle John's back now. I get bigger thanks. Question, man. Can you discuss a little bit on how to make a client consider me as another option? That said, they already have one and they don't want to entertain me. Okay? That's a good question, man. Because I get this all the time. Said, Victor, we're happy with our current suppliers, right? And if you Google online, by the way, on my YouTube channel, you'll see that I have this thing, Client Says. By the way, I should mention that we have, thank you for bringing this up, I almost forgot. So we have something called, this Friday, something called Client Says. And it's a master class that I'm doing. Client Says, put an S there, Client Says. And these are all the objections your clients are going to throw at you. So in this master class, go to my website, victorantonio.com, and it's $99 for the master class. It's live, but there's no video, it's live. And I'm going to go through all these Client Says. Client says this, what do you say? Client says that, what do you say? How do you address it? How do you frame it? In this case, you say, as far as the bigger picture here, if somebody says, I'm happy with my current supplier, here's what I would do, Inkle. And just think about this for a second. In your case, they're saying they don't want to entertain you because you're coming in saying, I can do what they do. That's what you're doing. And I'm assuming that's what you're doing. Hey, I can do what they do. I can do it. Maybe I can do it a little better. So pivot your approach to, here's what we do differently that nobody's doing right now. And then what would that be? The thing is, you need to grab my attention. And the only way to grab my attention for me to want to bring you in is for you to tell me what's different. What do you do differently that they can't do, right? Because if I'm happy with, for example, I use Chris Stone for all my editing and graphics and all that stuff. And I've had other people say, hey, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. To which I said, why you? What do you do differently? And they would show me some of their stuff. I said, Chris does that. Chris does that. Chris does that. So why would I want to switch from Chris Stone? Because he does that. See, unless you come in with something that says, well, here's something I probably doesn't do, this. And then I go, oh, right? And I'll say, whoa, that's different, right? Now, what's going to happen, this is real world. What's going to happen is I'm going to go back to Chris. I say, Chris, can you do that if I need to do that? And Chris says, no, I don't do that. Then I'll consider this one, right? Because if that's something I want to do and Chris doesn't offer that, then all of a sudden, I have to, I'll work with them both, but for this, I want to work with that. So my question to you is, why are you different? Remember, companies are trying to reduce the number of suppliers in their supply chain. They're trying to reduce the number. I mean, there's costs associated with having a lot of suppliers. And also, not only the cost, the hassle of dealing with multiple entities or multiple companies. So for them to switch over, right, and use you, you have to have something that's so compelling that they go, I'll think about it. Let me get back to you. Let's consider it. Something like that. Anyway, Pablo said, appreciate it. Yeah, look up Just Noticeable Different. It's a really interesting philosophy and approach. Alan says, I just bought the book. Alan, man, just for that, dude, I'm going to give you the DJ horn, man. You get that one. I should do that all the time, right? I should do that all the time. All right, I'm going to start wrapping up here. Anthony says, gold, man. Thank you, Vic, with the K. I take that, man. Water seeks its own level, right? Every time. Be like water, my friend. You pour it in a cup, it becomes the cup. You pour it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Be like water. Bruce Lee, right? That whole thing. I appreciate your response. I hope I answered it. In order to deal with high net worth people, you have to drive what they drive. I'm not going to argue with that. See what I'm saying? Again, don't take I'm not telling you this is a rule. I'm not saying what I did is the rule. I'm not saying that. So if I'm dealing with high net worth individual, I can't show up. Let's go with the opposite. If I'm dealing with a high net worth individual, right? Let's just say the person's, I don't know, these are 20, 30, 40, $50 million people, right? I'm not going to show up in a little Honda if that's who I'm selling to all the time. I'd go out and probably get something really nice. Personally, I would go for the Audi 8. That would be my car. The Audi 8 would be my car. I don't know why, but I love the way that car, either that or a 700 series BMW. So the other way wouldn't work either. I wouldn't get a sloppy car if I'm dealing with high net worth individuals. So I would get a really nice car. So I agree with you on that. I think I opened up a can of worms on that one. This is great. Thanks for doing this, Matt. Mr. What's that? E-Shadow? Thank you for being here, man. Appreciate you. All right. Victor, appreciate what you do. I'm a sales professional with more than 10 years, various fields, man. Murat, thank you for being here, man. Selling, man, it's a great place. I appreciate you sharing with me that you were happy with your current supplier, but no one is perfect, not even us. If there's one thing you could change with your current supplier, I could do better, even if it's only once in a while, what would that be? That's always perfect, man, right? If you can change one thing. I was, Giovanni, I was listening to a guy by the name of Daniel Kahneman. If you don't know who Daniel Kahneman is, he wrote the book Thinking Fast and Slow. He won a Nobel Prize for economics, even though he's more of a psychologist, right? And it's interesting how he was talking about how you phrase things, right? And this was one of the things he was kind of indirectly talking about, is that I can ask you a question, are you happy, right? Let me ask you the question, Giovanni. This is this Kahneman question. He goes, are you happy? And you would give me an answer. And then I would say, assuming that you're single, how many dates did you go on this month, right? How many dates did you go on this month? And you would give me a number, right? Are you happy? Yeah, man, I'm pretty happy, Victor. How many dates did you go on this month? Couple, right? Whatever it may be. Then he reversed the two. He asked the person first, how many dates did you go on this month? And the person says, 1 or 2. How happy are you? And all of a sudden, the happiness level dropped. And what he's postulating is that sequence matters. What I ask you first, what I ask you second matters. So in your case, in case you're wondering where I'm going with this, tie it back to this. If you ask a client, first of all, if a client states, this is what a lot of people don't get. When a client states, I'm happy with my current supplier, that's why it's the worst question to ask a client is, are you happy with your current supplier? Because the client's going to say yes. Unless they're totally upset, they're going to say, yeah, I'm happy. As soon as they say yes, Giovanni, they've taken, that is a public declaration, they've taken a position that says, I'm happy. What do you think happens when people say, when they declare something, what do you think happens? They basically hold on to that position, right? They hold on to that position. In other words, now they're going to tell you why they're happy, or they're going to have to kind of convince you that they're happy. So one of the things I like about your questions, which I've heard before, is, don't assume that they're happy. You can offer something like, what are some things that your current supplier isn't offering you, right? That we could probably offer, or that you may want, right? What are some things that your current supplier isn't offering that you would like to have to make you more efficient, grow your revenues, whatever it may be? Now, starting out with that question is more powerful. It's better than asking them, are they happy? I would rather ask that question first, what you're stating right here. I'm emphasizing this for a reason. By asking that question first, what are certain things that your supplier is not doing that maybe you'd like to do with your current software that you're not able to do? Now, notice I didn't ask him if he was happy with his current supplier, because if I ask him that first, he's going to say, yes, I'm happy, and then he's not going to tell you about what he needs, because he just told you he was happy. But when you switch those two, what is your current provider not supplying that you would need? He would say, well, I wish we had this. Well, then how happy are you with your current supplier? And you'll see that the motivation to defend that current supplier goes down. So I love this because you provided that angle that I wanted to highlight, that it depends what you ask. Don't ask them, are you happy? And then say, is there anything we can give you? First ask them, what is it we can do that they're not doing? And then as you do your presentation, as you get that information, he goes, well, are you happy with your current supplier? It seems like you're not. And they're probably going, well, they lack a little bit. So anyway, I love that. It's a great sequence. I am in a B2B, Murad again. I'm in a B2B, highly competitive CPG. I don't know what CPG is, man. I'm sorry, man. And it's going to be something simple. You're going to tell me it's really simple, right? Can you create more B2B videos? Or if you have, can you please refer them to me? Thank you. Tell me what CPG is. Because we do have some. I'm within the Sales Velocity Academy. So, Murad, I don't know if you're part of my Sales Velocity Academy. So go to salesvelocityacademy.com or just go to victorantonio.com. But Sales Velocity Academy.com. Probably the best B2B course in there is probably my biggest course. It's called Value-Centric Selling. Value-Centric Selling is not about just selling products or features and benefits like that. It's how do you sell, understanding your customers' client. In other words, how do you sell to a customer? By first understanding who they're selling to, and then you kind of work backwards. And so that's one of the courses I would recommend. It's like 37 videos. It's my most extensive B2B course because I came from that space. I came from the B2B technology space, so I get it, man. Ovum says, drop and close, man. Thank you, man. Jay's here. Good evening, Victor. Just woke up and glad to see you live, man. Thank you for being here again. Kevin's gonna, okay, Victor, at Victor, I sell program contract business. Work with Office Depot Business Solution. We find supplies to help run your business throughout the year, from cleaning supplies, from paper, etc. So you're working with Office Depot, or are you selling to Office Depot? Again, if you're selling to Office Depot, again, highly competitive, and they're also trying to minimize. But I would think there'd be an opportunity now, given the supply chain shortage of products. I'll watch the session from the beginning. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. Bites to bites, I guess, Kevin. I don't know what bites to bites mean. I mean, I know what bites with a Y means, but I don't know, man. Melvin, man. Remember, I'm looking at a stream of comments, so sometimes I forget what you wrote up here, so kind of just keep that in mind. I was always thinking about upselling and never thought about the value in downselling. Thank you, as always, King Vic. Thank you, Melvin. Appreciate you, man. Giovanni says, amen. Yeah, that's it, Giovanni. They get defensive, right? Really, they get defensive, but it's one of those things. How do you open them up to that conversation of what's missing? So I love your approach there. Karina says, love it. Karina Trinidad, thank you for being here, Karina. Appreciate you. I was always egoistic about upselling. I never thought about the value in downselling. Again, I think it's powerful. Consumer packaged goods. So if you're selling consumer packaged goods, I assume you're going after big contracts, right? So you're working with big companies. And I think, again, it's a bigger topic for us to discuss here, Murad, and I'm not pushing you off on this one. Like I said, I've worked with packaging companies. I've actually worked with a large meat packaging company. That's interesting. When you get into the grocery side of the business, I even worked with, one of my bigger clients was Goya, right? And so it's a big question. I'm trying to figure out how I can answer this quickly before I leave in a couple of minutes here. What value-centric selling is the course I would recommend. I would have to know your business to understand what are some of the objections. I would give you this as something maybe to look up. I would ask myself, there's always frequently asked questions. I always tell people, you got to know these two things when you're talking to clients and you're doing a presentation. One is the frequently asked questions, right? What are they always going to ask you? They're always going to ask you specific questions, right? And you got to be very competent in those. But you also have to list out what are the frequently stated objections, reasons why they don't want to do business. So the second course I would recommend is my blocking objections course. As I say all the time, the most valuable course in the Sales Velocity Academy is the blocking objections course. Because if I can block the objection before they state the objection, then you can feel that resistance go down. So let me point you in that direction, Murad. And then again, if you decide to join the Sales Velocity Academy, what we do is once a month we have Victor's Inner Circle where, man, we just ask questions and really dig into some of these things in more detail, man. So keep that in mind. I'm not trying to get you to buy into the Academy. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you do, that's also thrown in that once a month we do this round table virtually. And that's where I can actually dive deep. And we had some great discussions, and we really start tearing apart the business plan, so to speak, or the sales plan. So hopefully we'll see you in that, okay? Anyway, hope I can guide you a little bit on that one. Anyway, upselling is hard when you don't know how. That's a good one, man. All right, a couple more. I got to get out of here. You work with Office Depot. So you work with them, but I don't know what that means, Kevin. Like, when somebody says they work with them, do you buy their product and then turn around and sell it? Are you the middleman, or are you selling to Office Depot? So I would say, here's the way I would help me clarify this. Here's you, right? Now, here's Office Depot right here. Now, do you sell to Office Depot, or do you play middleman and you sell to the market over here? Because then there's like different dynamics that are going on in there. So it's a lot of stuff in there, man, to unpack. And again, if I'm answering these questions shortly, it's because for me to dive into each one of these, I would have to actually just interview you, ask you about 10 to 15 questions to figure out what's really going on. How do you be more of a team member when they're messing up the quota and complaining all the time? How do you get people? So I assume that, is it your management that's messing up? I've had that. I've had management mess up my quotas. How do you guys be more of a team player when they're I'm putting team player in there. when they're messing up the quota and complaining all the time. Again, tough one to answer, Mr. International, because I don't know how people are incentivized or compensated. What I've noticed about when people don't pull their weight, when people don't participate, do their share, is because one of the biggest reasons, one, they're not motivated. Two, is that the compensation plan is not motivating enough. And I think if people in sales, you got to have a great compensation plan. I talk about that in some of my videos online on YouTube, that you got to have that part taken care of. In other words, the compensation plan. I would ask the inverse question of your people. It's like, why aren't they motivated and why are they complaining? People don't complain because they want to complain. I mean, you got a couple of people who do that, but the majority of salespeople want to make money. So if they're complaining about something. Somewhere in there, they're not getting support, and that becomes a really tough management issue. For Office Depot Business Solution. Sorry, bro. Okay, so you're selling for the office. So it's a division, maybe, of Office Depot. I'm going to assume that. Office Depot has a division. It's called Business Solutions. And then what you do is you go out and you find companies and you sell contracts to these companies, right? I'm going to assume that's it to make this easy because I got to get off 5 minutes. If that's the case, again, remember, these folks are, again, today we have a supply chain issue, so I think it would be easier to get in because now they want to deal with more suppliers. But also, again, if they have a relationship, what are you going to offer that's different? Besides pricing, right? Is it maybe a variety of product? You got to have something different or else people don't want to switch over. It becomes very difficult. I've been there, especially in the B2B space, because that's what you're doing. This is B2B. And you're trying to sell big contracts. And again, people are going, why do I want to switch over? Keep in mind that the purchasing agent on the other side, who you're selling to, if they decide to go with you, switch channels, so to speak, they're putting their career on the line. So what are you doing to make them feel comfortable, to reduce that anxiety, to let them know, look, I'm going to make you look like a champion. I'm going to show you how we're going to drive some of these costs down and put a plan together. Unless you can do that, the majority of people are going to stay with the status quo. Let me see. Bring Victor into your next event before the competition does. I've heard that line somewhere, man. You're scary, man. You're scary. All right. Last one. I'm working with companies between huge companies. Quikrete in Atlanta, big company. Last part here, working for Office Depot Business Solution, working, cooking dinner and watching. That's funny, man. That's funny. So anyway, so if that's the case, my question is, I mean, by the way, it's a great business to be in, right? And they're buying their supplies from somewhere else. Again, what I would ask you to do, Kevin, is figure out, maybe this is kind of a roundtable brainstorm. It's like what Murad was asking earlier. It's like, how do you figure out what are the objections that people are giving you? Why won't they do it? The thing is, once I know what the objections are, this is how I sell. Once I know every reason why you're going to say no to me, then I got to figure out how do I get around or over those objections. I would begin there. And in your presentation, you should have these objections like wired in your head. So when they say this, you already know what to say. So keep that in mind. I'll do one more. Hey, Victor, I'm in cash advance and cold calling business owners. What are some tips that you have in mind? Cold calling, long subject. I would recommend just go into the Sales Velocity Academy. I have something called Cold Calling Success where you can actually get in there. There's scripts in there on what to say, how to say it, and all that wonderful stuff. Let me see. I'm in the Academy. Can't locate that specific course that you suggest. Murad, send me an email, Victor@Victor Antonio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there and highlight some of the courses that you should take. I'm taking personal interest in you, okay? So just email me, Victor@Victor Antonio, and I'll highlight those courses, okay? Cool? All right. Let me see. A couple more minutes. All right. How do you incentivize salespeople at the lower level, like 2 to 3 salespeople? I think there's different ways of doing it. Remember, incentive doesn't always have to be money, right? It could be, I hate to say working from home because that's already a given, but it could be other little things. So there's so many different ways. You should read the book art called Drive. Drive by Daniel Pink. Drive, like as in driving a car. The book is called Drive, and the guy's name is Daniel Pink. And Daniel Pink really talks about motivation, and he talks about 3 things. They want autonomy, agency, freedom. They want mastery. They want to grow, right, personally. And the last part is they want purpose. And so being able to divine those things, you get what they call intrinsic motivation because it's not always about the money. So anyway, Kevin's 100%. Murad, thank you. You're very welcome. Art, thank you. And on that note, guys, I am out of here. Have a great night. In some cases, have a great day. Take care.